Good morning and welcome to our webinar session this morning on world-class omni-channel contact at M&S that we're doing in association with Marks & Spencer's and Transversal. My name is Cochrane. I'm Head of Research and Partnerships at CCA. I'm going to be your host for this morning. Just let's run through this morning's agenda. Before we kick off properly, I'm just going to take everyone through some housekeeping. Then going to do a very brief background and introduction to our topic this morning before I hand over to our guest speakers, Mahoney, Head of Service Delivery at M&S, and Mark White, Business Development Director at Transversal. We'll have some time for Q&A at the end of the session with the view to finishing up promptly at 11 a.m. So just to run through some housekeeping, as I mentioned at the beginning there, for those that haven't used the WebEx system before, I'm just going to give you some instructions on how to use the system. So on the right-hand side of your screen, you should be able to see a chat box. If you wish to send me a message privately through the course of the session or send something to Ian or Mark through Ian's name on the system, then please do that through the chat function. If you would like to ask questions at any point through the course of the presentation, if you could use the Q&A function, which is down at the bottom right-hand side of your screen. We will get to questions in turn, ideally at the end of the session once Ian and Mark have presented, so we'll keep the questions to the end. But anything that you want to ask as we go through the session, then please just post that on the Q&A function there. Everyone muted as they come into the session this morning, just because we've got quite a large number of participants today, and it's to just minimise any background noise. But just to be on the safe side, if I could ask all participants to make sure that their phone is on mute, just to avoid any background noise, that would be very helpful. Thank you. Okay, I'm just going to take us through some of the background to today's topic. Some things I'm going to show you on screen are pretty much familiar to all of us now, given the current environment that we work in. But if I just try to put things into context for what we're talking about today. So the average household now owns more than 3 types of internet-enabled device, with 1 in 5 owning 6 or more. Now these are figures from Ofcom from last year's communications report that they did. The next one is just due out later next month in August 2014. So interesting to see if there's much shift in that, or if that's increased, which it's likely that it has done when the new report comes out. And more than 80% now have access to the internet. So these are UK figures, but I'm sure it's fairly representative for what's happening in our marketplace. Thinking specifically about mobile, 7 in 10 users in the UK access the internet in their handset. It's very much related to the omni-channel environment and what we're talking about for this morning's session. This is a piece of research that we came across just last month that's fairly new. It was done by Deloitte in conjunction with eBay, relating specifically to omni-channel shoppers, and found that omni-channel consumers constitute about 70% of retail spending now in the UK, and in addition, these are sales that are incremental and additional to high street sales. I think that's really important for what we're going to be talking about today, and making that whole piece much more connected. An example that's used in the report is that over 95% of online dress sales in the UK were found to be additional to high street sales, meaning that people would not have spent in a high street environment. Reports available excuse me, through Deloitte website. If you just Google the omni-channel opportunity, unlocking the power of the connected customer, you can get access to that report. It's publicly available. But it's really interesting stats that are very relevant to what we're talking about today. So I guess the thing that's really important for certainly our network is connectivity is key. So one of the biggest challenges that we hear about time and time again is for businesses to break down silos and to make those different parts of the business more connected when it comes to understanding how customers are contacting us. I'll take you through just some research that CCA has done over the last wee while. This is research that we did back in September of last year, and this is a question we've asked on a number of occasions to our network, and the answers are fairly consistent. as they come back into us. So the question that we asked was, do your contact centre agents have a single view of all customer contact regardless of channel used? So you can see from the results that the number that actually can take customer view across different channels is very small, just at 15%, and with more than 38%, so say the different channels in the organisation are siloed. And if you add that to the green section where it talks about our customer information is stored in silos, so it's difficult for agents to see all customer data, it's getting close to almost half of, in fact probably is half more or less, of everyone who's been surveyed there, really struggling to have that connected view of the customer or business. Thinking about what that means for those agents that are working in the front line and dealing with inquiries on a daily basis, we asked the question, what do we think the implications for frontline agents of dealing with more complicated inquiries would be? So obviously things around increased handling times, fairly obvious, requirement for more training, requirement for improved technology, and a requirement for a different KPI measurements came out top. And I think that, again, that's fairly telling for the type of environment that we're working in, but it obviously suggesting that perhaps we need a bit of a rethink in how we manage things at the moment, but essentially pointing to the fact that agents will need more support and discretion empowerment to do the right thing for customer, and that's very relevant for what we're going to be talking about today. Okay. So what are businesses saying? So again, we asked, what are your organisation's biggest customer service challenges? And we asked them to rank in order of importance, with 1 being most important. So the 1 is the turquoise blue colour that you can see on screen. If we look at the things that are circled there, we can see that coping with the number of inquiries is quite key, improving quality, reducing cost to serve, and rising customer expectations. So I guess we can see that there's a really difficult balance there between coping with rising customer expectations and the level of service they're looking to access, but businesses still really focusing on reducing cost to serve, despite the fact that we're in growth and out of recession. That's still very much high on the agenda. Improving quality is a given, and obviously demand and number of inquiries is going to increase, and certainly if they become more complex. So all pointing really to a very challenging environment that we're all working in, and this is probably resonates with everyone that's on today's session, but hopefully we'll have some views on how things can progress forward for your business from today's discussions. We also asked the question, how do you think your business model will adapt to meet changing customer demands in the future? It's a wee bit small on your screen, but hopefully you can still make it out. So again, the 3 things that came out top for the businesses that we asked within this was more skilled, knowledgeable workers, increase in self-service and automation, and a clear single view of the customer. So really to dig down and to understand how businesses can best support agents, businesses can best support customers in making perhaps the more transactional things automated, and making perhaps some of the contact that agents are now managing automated to make it a more better experience for customers, but really focusing on that automation versus connected and knowledge workers. So it's trying to get that balance across your business and what suits your business and what suits your customers. We also did some consumer research last year and asking 1,000 consumers through Ipsos Mori, and again this was in September of last year. Which of these methods do you most prefer to use when contacting a service provider or retailer for customer service? So you can see that the demand for traditional channels is still there, and this is we've asked this same question to consumers over a 3-year period, and the results are fairly consistent. The telephone and email channels are still fairly high up on the agenda for consumers, and whilst businesses are obviously trying to make things simpler and more automated, more self-service to reduce those costly channels, customers still want to make contact on those channels. So it's a case of thinking about the demand for the traditional channels is still there, so there's a need for expertise and engagement to make it easy for customers, and again hopefully some of the conversations we'll have today will have a bit of a better understanding around how some businesses are doing that. We all ask consumers, when you call a service provider or retailer, of which you're an existing customer, which one or two of the following is most important to you. So again, we've asked this question 3 years running, and again, the answers have all been really consistent, and these have been the top 3 answers for each of the 3 years that we've asked the question. So, the person who answers the phone handles the whole of my call, treat me as a valued customer, and they answer the phone quickly. So really what that's all pointed to is quick, knowledgeable response in one call. Okay, so lots and lots of information there that you can get access to already. If there's any particular pieces of information you'd like to know more about, then please do email me. CC do lots of research over the course of the year, so there's generally lots of different things that you can get access to within your subscription. We also showcase a lot of the research that we do at our forthcoming convention, and I just wanted to really highlight that to you as a date for your diary, particularly as it's our 20th anniversary event this year. If you'd like more information on that, I'm certainly happy to provide it for you. Okay, so without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Ian and Mark, who are going to take you through a case study presentation on what M&S have been doing with their systems over the last wee while to look at omni-channel contact. Ian, hopefully you should be fine and ready to go along with Mark.
Yeah, thanks, Pauline. Good morning, everyone. My name's Ian Mahoney from M&S. I'm also here with Mark White from Transversal.
Good morning, everyone. I'd just like to start. So I'm Mark White. I'd just like to start giving a brief introduction to this session. First of all, I'm delighted that Marks & Spencer's have agreed to this presentation to showcase a project which they undertook, the largest IT project, I believe. Is that right, Ian?
Yep.
Over well, I think ever within Marks & Spencer's, and Ian actually drove that project through. So it's an omni-channel, multi-channel project touching every aspect of their business. Before we get to that case study, Ian's just going to take you through a little background to Marks & Spencer's, and I'll take you through a little background to Transversal, and then hand back over to Ian to take you through the main body of today's presentation. Thank you.
Okay. It's M&S is a brand I'm sure everyone's familiar with, but a little bit of history for you. So it was founded in 1884, started as a market stall in Leeds in the late 1800s by a gentleman called Michael Marks. Over the next few years, Marks partnered with another gentleman called Tom Spencer, where the iconic name Marks & Spencer, which is now known around the world, came from. So we have just under 800 stores in the UK, just over 400 stores internationally. Last year, group sales of just over £10 billion was up nearly 3% on the previous year. And more importantly, for the area that I'm working in, the omni-channel sales last year grew nearly 23%, which again is great results for us. So that's why we're here speaking to you today. But the key thing, what M&S are really famous for, they are the largest supplier of UK women's underwear. So that was one of the key driving factors that brought me into the company. Anyway, so moving on to Transversal.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. So some of you may have about Transversal before, so I will keep this quite short. We're an organisation that gives solutions and implements solutions that connect people to knowledge. So where you have, quite simply, lots of people who are looking for information, answers to queries, but only a few people that can provide them, we provide the conduit between the two. And we do that in a multi-channel way, so that it doesn't matter how a customer or indeed internal employees, such as a contact centre agent, we can access that knowledge. We provide easy mechanisms for them to inquire and get answers to the questions that they're asking. So that's basically the type of solution which Ian will be discussing as well, about what's being implemented at Marks & Spencer's. We work for a number of companies, or with a number of companies, and see this type of technology if you go onto the BBC website and look at .co.uk assistance and iPlayer assistance, and you'll see other sites too. And internally, inside of organisations, within the enterprise, you'll see employees asking questions and getting answers through spaces serving them. The main focus of today is what Marks & Spencer's have done. And so before I hand back over to Ian, what I'd like to do is just set some context to this, I guess, There's a slide in front of you now which contains information from a Gartner report from March 2014. Just quickly, I mean, the key points of this report is that A, it's absolutely bang up to date and current, and contextual knowledge is at the forefront of it. And it turns out how agents in a contact center can spend as much as between 20 and 80% of their time trying to find the information in order to answer a custom query. And so clearly then, if you're able to make an improvement in that, you're going to make an improvement for every call potentially that a contact center agent is taking, and that can have a big impact within not just the reducing the time it takes to answer a call, but in the customer experience they get when they phone up and they speak to an agent. And what I was saying earlier about how that is valued by a customer, having an agent being able to deal with the whole call. That's key today. And on the flip side of that as well, your customers on your website, or whether they're on your mobile application or coming in through social media, they also want to have quick access to information as well. And so it's them. So the technologies that you can use today really need to focus on whole user journey rather than just an application for one site and an application for another or another access point. And this is borne out by really the Gartner report. So the next thing I just want to touch on before handing back to Ian is actually what we mean by contextual knowledge. If you go on to Google and type in contextual knowledge, you're going to see lots of academic responses to that query. But quite simply and in practice, what it means is that somebody can be prompted with information, sometimes even before they asked it, but certainly if they ask that information, it comes back in context to that. So it means that you don't have to drive a customer into your language, to know your keywords, to know your business. You'll express that in a way they would just talk to a contact center agent, but you do it through technology instead. Technology has to unravel what it means, goes into its knowledge base, and comes back with the right type of answers to it. And that applies to the different ways in which a customer might want to integrate your content, and it applies to the different access points they might come in to. And it also, your contact center agents can be prompted with information if you're connected through to the CTI as well, can be prompted with information that's in line with what the caller has entered through IVR solution, for example. So your knowledge is following the customer, it's following the agent, trying to help them at every point that they're interacting with the solution. So, without further ado, I'd like to now hand over to Mahoney, and Ian, over to you.
Okay, thanks, Mark. So, moving on, so a bit of a background, high-level overview about the overall program before we delve into the detail on the knowledge part of the solution. So, what was the multi-channel program for M&S? It's a program to migrate our core systems away from the Amazon platform on which they've been running since the early 2000s. Probably not too many people know it, but we hosted our first commerce website on a white label version of the Amazon website. To come with that website, we also had an underlying order management platform and various tools that were used in the contact centers, all hosted by Amazon. So we took a decision that we could do multi-channel on the platform we had. We really wanted to own and build our own platform to give us the flexibility to allow us to customize to better serve the needs of our customers. The program itself, it's been the largest IT program ever delivered within M&S by just about any measure that you can use. So we spent £150 million over about 3.5 years. We had 35 vendors, and at its peak, it's well over 1,000 resources working on the program. The areas that we replaced, as I mentioned, were the website itself, which is now run VM WCS platform. The order management solution is IBM Sterling Commerce. We have an underlying integration layer holding it all together, and we have various contact center components that are rolled out to our multiple contact centers that allow agents to have the same view as customers on the website. So do it. Multi-channel is a massive opportunity for M&S. I mean, we've been playing in that space for a while, but it's a kind of indicator of how serious Marks and Spencer want to take it in terms of the money that we spent on this platform, to giving us the flexibility and the ability to grow our multi-channel approach. What we need is our multi-channel customers spend more than customers that just interact with us via one channel. So that's a way to grow revenue. We also managed to attract other customers to the brand via an online channel that might not ordinarily shop in our stores. It allows us to work our store real estate harder by various propositions such as Shop Your Way, where customers can order online and get their items delivered to stores. All of the underlying reasons why we spent the last 3 years delivering this project. So channel customer M&S look like. So the typical demographic is an affluent female aged between 55 and 65 years old. They own multiple types of technology, from laptops, tablets and smartphones. And it's not just M&S they're interacting with online or via channel routes. They're also doing online banking, online hot booking and Facebook and even downloading music. So the type of demographic that we're going after are already pretty tech savvy in terms of the devices and the things they're doing. So timeline for our program, it's a very high level view that you can see. Started requirements gathering back in late 2011. Development started February 2012. We rolled out the first solutions to our contact centres last August. In fact, we're approaching just about a year to the day that we did the first rollout. In January, we continued the rollout of the multi-channel applications to our stores, and then we set up in February this year with the launch of the new website on February the 17th. Just also happens to be my birthday. Just a complete coincidence, of course. So you see here is the implementation of a single knowledge base feeding the various channels that we discussed. At a high level, you have the website, mobile, contact centres, but obviously in the contact centre you have the sub channels of voice, email, SMS, and social media. Chat is there as well, and something that we're working on, but it's not yet live for us. So, customer points, as I mentioned, to demonstrate the need for doing this, we need to look at the issues that we face when trying to give customers a consistent answer. We have quite a complex outsourced contact center estate where agents previously used different tools and different systems to generate responses to customer contacts. You can imagine that the type of contacts and responses customers would get would vary quite widely. So in order to greater operational efficiencies, we like all of our agents to be able to have the access to knowledge to completely answer any question from a customer. So that's of course on omni-channel, phone or email, because one of the key pain points that Paul mentioned earlier was agents passing around customers to various people to answer a query. So we find this gives our operation far greater efficiencies, but also and more importantly, it provides our customers with a much enhanced user experience. So actual search is absolutely vital for us. It means that agents and customers can find relevant answers to them without having to ensure that they've entered a specific keyword in the query. On the slides, you'll be able to see how customers are using the solution up to the tune of around 8 million times per year online. So you can see on your screen at the moment is customers the ability to ask questions directly for the system to contextually deliver the right answer. In the example, the customer's looking for the quite a common query, what's my order? So we are then also able to drill down and ask the customer what type of product ordered before presenting them with the most appropriate answers. As I'm sure you can imagine, the different types of orders we deal with, from food to general merchandise, obviously have varying answers. So the answer, we also invite the customer to provide feedback as to whether the answer answered their question or not. This is then reviewed by our content managers and has become an absolutely vital part of our process to help us improve our content. We can spot knowledge gaps and continue to grow the knowledge base, and which will ultimately help customers self-serve and avoid the need for them to contact us in the first place. Transvolution has also given us the added benefit that any of our content in our knowledge base is also searchable directly from Google. So this is absolutely key for us, because quite often customers, not just demo customers, if they've got the question they need an answer to, they'll just type that question into Google rather than go directly to the shop or the vendor they're dealing with. So it's almost certainly their first channel that they choose to interact with. So if you can see by the example on screen, and I'm sure you can try this yourself, but if you type "can I get next day delivery" into Google, you have variables from our transversal knowledge base and content appear in the top positions from Google. So it really allows us to help grow our SEO, as well as providing customers with the quick answers that they need. So we can grow SEO and also direct more customers to our website as well. This is particularly important with the growing use of mobiles, where customers are far less likely to actually go to our specific website. They'll just type their questions into Google. So now I'll move on to talk about the experience of our agents when working with the knowledge-based solution, which is obviously quite different to how we present answers to customers on the website for M&S.com. Up to an agents across multiple contact centres, a key factor here is that 3 of our contact centres are outsourced, and 1 is an internal M&S contact centre operation. What we use the knowledge base for is to spread the consistent knowledge across all our agents, regardless of where they are, where they sit, or how long they've been with the company. We need to make sure we've got people having the same knowledge, whether they've been with us for 10 years or just a few weeks. As you see, we're able to enable our agents via a workflow system to suggest content, which our content approvers can then authorise and publish if appropriate. So if an agent thinks that they can add some content to the web knowledge base based on the customer interactions they've been dealing with throughout the day, they suggest that content, put a few comments in it, and the web content approvers can either approve and publish that or not. We wanted to take a joined up approach in the sense of engaging our agents in the aim of improving customer experience on the website. So their suggestions content is absolutely key, because if we've got problems on the website or any problems with our delivery proposition on a particular day, the agents are in the front line, so they're quite often able to spot a problem before we even know there is one. So the agents can spot a problem, suggest more content goes on the website, and help divert calls and contacts away from our contact centres. I'll now go through a couple of screenshots, and you can see some of the functions we provide to agents to help them effectively deal with a customer call using the knowledge base. We provide a feed of comms that provide content and communication that agents can easily access to ensure that all agents across all of contact centres, or just across locations, can have information delivered to them. So this is particularly important because sometimes we might want to broadcast company-wide messages to all of our contact centres, but also various contact centres just support various different areas of the business. So sometimes we might just want to broadcast a particular message to one contact centre rather than all of them. You can see at the top tab of the screen we have the capability to switch between the various contact centres here. However, the default operation is that it goes to everyone. The next screen shows what the agents, what type of content is currently trending in their location. typical Q&A, but also other formats, for example, spreadsheets or anything that's of use to other agents at a particular point in time. So it's kind of a frequently asked questions for agents to go to, and quite often you'll find that if we have particular issues that are trending, agents use this area a lot. Further, if a customer uses a mobile device to query, then they see trending content specific to mobile devices. So it's the concept of providing contextual views depending on where the system is being used from. Although the knowledge is actually, the core knowledge is the same, but we can add the context on the which devices they're using. Next part of the screen is a taxonomy that agents can dip into certain categories or product areas. This is useful in helping the agents to delve into a particular topic, but also for training new agents to help them come up to speed quickly, making them more productive quickly. I reserved an area of the screen allows us to promote certain topics to agents in context of what they're doing at the moment. So we might have particular promotions available, and we can make the agents are aware of them. This allows us cross-selling, upselling, and various other possibilities. And we also have another quite a useful area of the screen that we display popular links. So similar to the frequently asked questions or what's trending, this is an area of the site that we can agents use quite frequently. So parcel force tracking or any other couriers we use, so agents can quickly click on this link and it launches them directly into any third-party website that they're using. At the customer site, we provide agents the ability to type any question in at any time to leverage the contextual search capabilities of the solution. This is particularly important over our peak trading period of over Christmas. Peak trading for us actually starts from around about mid-October and goes through until the end of January. So also over this period, so not only are we getting higher customer sales and higher customer contacts, but also grow the number of agents in our contact centres. And it can increase by anything between 50 and 75% with our number of agents. So the ability to find answers quickly is absolutely key for good customer experience and reducing AHT. Here you can see the screen the agent used to suggest new content in response to queries they've received. So if an agent is getting a query today from a customer on a specific problem, they can pop up the screen and add some suggested help items, which helps a virtuous circle whereby if we had to take calls in the first place through customers needing information, we're at least benefiting from the agent's experience and hopefully try and deflect some of those future calls by publishing more information. So, an overview of the workflow that we use for content approval. So this is used by people to approve the content, because quite often we have separate teams for approval content on the website as opposed to content approved for agents, because the way and the nature of the content is written does need to be very different. So it's a different view of the same content. This is the content for mobile devices as well. We like to have content that's relevant to the device that the customers are connecting to us on. One of those important elements as well is not just how the system is used by our agents and our customers. It's also the feedback and insight that it gives us. So the analytics capabilities of the Transversal solution that are particularly useful. We have a database that stores all the questions asked by customers. Currently, this is up to around about 24 million. I think the last time I looked at it, so we've had 24 million different questions asked by our customers that we're able to look into and pick any trends from that. As I said, to spot trends, knowledge apps, very important, which the end goal of what we're trying to do is get more customers to self-serve. As I'm sure you know, the best customer experience, if customers can find what they need by self-serving on the website, not only does they get the answer quicker, but the reduced number of contacts into the contact center is a cost saving as well. The analytics also how our agents are using the knowledge base. So what we often find is you might design a solution how you think agents are going to use it, but when you actually look at the real world figures and real world stats, you'll see that agents use the system quite differently to how you'd intended. So it allows you to look at how the agents are using it and then tailor your design and knowledge and content to help them be more efficient. Just to summarize some of the key benefits, those we see on a day-to-day basis, we're able to deploy a consistent version of the truth to all of our channels. So particularly important when dealing with the various contact centers that I mentioned previously. So we have in-outsourced contact centers and of course across the various channels that we deal with from our contact centers. It's critical for any business that wants to benefit from the knowledge of its employees. So it's all very well the content creation team sitting in a room thinking, what our customers need, but the real benefit we get is actually taking the feedback and the suggestions of how to improve our knowledge base based on agent experience and what the customers are telling us. So it's incredibly useful to have the ability to contribute into the content and improve the experience for our customers. They are the guys on the front line for us, so they're the people that have the best insight. One of the key components that's critical for us is the speed at which we can publish announcements and new content. So this can be done operationally without any IT involvement. It gives us the ability to react to any changing circumstances, which is critically important in any fast-moving environment such as so that's about it from me in a kind of whistle-stop tour of the solution and the overview of MCFP that we did. So, Mark, is there anything else you want to go over?
No, I think that covered it. But thank you, Ian. So, Pauline, over to you. If there's anything you'd like to say.
Sure. Really, really insightful from both of you. So thanks so much for the content for this morning's session. We have a couple of questions that hopefully you're okay to start taking from you and covering off. I've had a question about what opinion is the difference between multi and omni-channel and which term do you prefer using? I don't know if you guys have got a viewpoint on that.
It's a valid question. I think it's semantics more than anything. In my mind, they're both the same. I mean, omni-channel is perhaps a phrase that has been coined and the buzzword that's being used, but from saying omni-channel and multi-channel, I use them interchangeably. Certainly, I don't know about you, Mark.
Yeah, if I was actually going to make one differential between the two, I guess that multi-channel was the first term people used, and it was to recognise that people were going to do work online, e-commerce, as well as phone in to the contact centre. And it sort of then expanded to include other channels that a company might provide. I think omni-channel takes it one step further by saying people might actually ask questions in Google, in web browsers. They might not actually be on your site or through one of your access points. And so therefore, you have to take that into account. So that was a differential I would make. And that really comes back to then when you're providing information, providing content, you need to consider that how it might be found if people ask questions in Google. And that's more happening more frequently, of course, as people have said before, via our devices. That's the only distinguishing thing I'd make.
Yeah, I think I'd probably agree with you. I guess another element of omni-channel that probably, well, I guess you could take it either again, it's a bit semantics, that's perhaps not included within multi-channel is the actual retail environment. So it's in a high street environment, and it's connecting that journey right from the touch points there, particularly with, I guess, somebody like S, where you can go in and use iPads and touch screens to do things, and it's making sure, I guess, those things are connected up as well. So, but hopefully that's answered the question for that was posted. I have another. Cool, crikey, we're backing up the question. So, just from a point of view of time management, we'll try and get through as many questions as we can. If there's some that we don't get through, then please don't worry, we'll take them offline and come back to you with an answer on it, but we'll certainly work through as many as we possibly can. So next question is, typically within contact centre advisor training, it's predominantly based around telephony. Do you have any good experiences of training omni-channels to educate advisors on communicating via text rather than voice?
We do have an SMS channel available to our agents, and the SMS channel is typically used by us to send bulk forms to customers on particular areas. If there's been a problem, for example, one of our lorries may break down containing the orders for 5 customers. So in that scenario, we know that there's a bulk of orders that may be delayed. So SMS would be the channel that we choose to contact the customers on then. It's ability, but it's quite rare that our agents would contact customers directly via the SMS channel, unless they've been contacted by the SMS channel first by the customer. I think the general view we have in our contact centres is whichever the customers choose to contact us on, then our agents talk back to them on the same channel.
Okay, great. Another quick question: can people in stores access the same knowledge system, and how do they do that if they can?
Yeah, the agents in stores have access to the web system as our customers. So we have the concept of, we have M&S.com, which is a website that agents that the customers use. It's a public website, and we have what we've termed the M&S.com Plus, which is an enhanced version of the website that's used in our stores and our contact centres by agents. So the key difference of that is it allows our store colleagues and agents to enact as a customer and complete sales for customers, but also gives agents and stores the same view really of the website that customers are getting. So our retail agents, our agents in store, our colleagues in store have the same view of the website and the content as our colleagues in the contact centre.
A quick aside to that, this is just my question. Are they able to upload any suggestions and things like that to the knowledge system as well, if they come across something that a customer asks or that seems to be a regular question in store?
They are, yes. They have the same ability as the agents in the contact centre. So they provide the suggestions, and again by the workflow process, that content is either approved and published or not. Okay, perfect.
Another question being asked about the FTE level of staff you have on your social media and web chat. Is that quite a significant piece that you have now doing that?
Well, chat is still a work in progress for us, so it's not something that's live at the moment. The social media side, it varies. It's actually at the moment a separate team that deal with social media. Just handles social media interactions rather than other channels. That team, you're testing my knowledge. It's a relatively small team. I know that, but it varies. Anything between 4 and 8 or so. But it's certainly in single digits. It's not. But we are keeping. As we migrate and the solution that we've now implemented, we are looking to use the same tools for the media interactions as we do for email and voice interactions. So we're then looking to upskill all of our agents to be able to deal with social media, and it will give us the benefit that we have the same view of the customer history or the customer contact, regardless of which channel they've chosen to interact with us on.
That's the way lots of businesses have started that out, isn't it? It'll grow organically as the demand on that channel increases. Okay.
Yeah.
The amount of information the agent has to enter to upload their recommendations impacted in AHT at all, and does the technology know who they are already? Just in one there, really.
First part, well, any content suggestions that agents do that they do offline, as it were. They wouldn't do that whilst they're online speaking to a customer. So they'd finish the customer contact and suggest the new content. So not necessarily impacting HT, but maybe then impacting the availability of the agent for 5 or 10 minutes after a call is finished whilst they suggest this content. So it only takes up an element of their time, but no impact to AHT.
Okay, thanks for that. There are quite a number of questions here, so I'm just going to keep rapidly going through them so that we hopefully answer the majority of them. Did you think that a mobile optimised website made a big difference in terms of traffic and online shoppers?
Yes, yeah. I mean, mobile and tablet are both very important to us, and that's why we spend so much time working on the solutions for those channels. It's quite the type of things people actually buy on mobile phone. We've had people buy sofas and 3-piece suites from an iPhone. It's you can't discount those channels and think people are just browsing on them. People really are, people really buying and interacting on those channels with you. So
yeah, I think when you start to see some of the, I don't have the numbers to hand, but when you start to see some of the numbers of the spend that's now done through mobile devices, and the figure that I showed earlier on about 7 in 10 access internet through their mobile their phone specifically, then it's absolutely significant. Okay, next question. Has any one of the multi-channels been more successful than the others, and which channel has been hardest to set up?
By question, do you mean if we're more successful online or phone ordering?
Yeah, I think it says, has any particular channel been more successful than others with regards to what you've been doing with the kind of knowledge base piece? Right.
It's tough to say because they're all so interconnected and entwined. Really, I don't have an answer for that question because our knowledge base on our website for our FAQs for customers has been improved by agents using the same system and being able to suggest content for a customer on the website. But I suppose that's improved. But I suppose I think about it, then the contact centre has probably seen the most improvement and the most benefit from having this single chain of knowledge that all of our agents across all of our sites can pick and choose from. So rather than we had a very old outdated solution of knowledge articles based on various different SharePoint sites that agents would have to search for, which I'm sure everyone can relate to. Is probably not the best experience for agents. So probably the contact centres have seen the most benefit from this solution, but it's huge benefit to our customers online as well.
Just reading through the next question. How do you encourage agents in the contact centre to keep up to date with new instances through your knowledge-based support, ensuring they're providing customers with most up-to-date and relevant information?
Well, what we not really need to encourage agents to keep up to date. I mean, they receive the customer calls on a daily basis, so they're there searching for articles themselves and finding things. So we also have the trending articles as well, which you saw in the screenshot, so we can see the most popular and trending articles that agents are looking at. So maybe one agent hasn't had any calls from a customer asking where's their delivery for a particular day, but they can see it's trending, so they know there's a problem in that area. Plus, we have the ability to broadcast, locate, like just content-wide or whole estate-wide particular messages. So if we want to, a particular piece of information around promotions or anything like that, we can send out a broadcast, which has been quite useful.
Okay, great. Question about call volume. What call volume reduction has been realised following the introduction of the knowledge base?
It's tough to now. Obviously, the level figure is around 20%, but we've implemented so much change over the last 6 months. At the moment, it would be very difficult to quantify what has actually caused that. But we've definitely seen a reduction, and we know that part of that has been down to the knowledge base that we've implemented.
Yeah. Okay. The tool linked into your CRM system, so it's clear what knowledge agent has used for responding to inquiries.
Not directly, but for any email interactions are recorded by we use a Genesis platform for telephony and kind of a light CRM system to customer contacts and interactions. So agents will post a note or a reference to any content that they've responded to customers with. It's not enforced, but most agents do that because it gives us the ability, if the agent if the customer contacts us again, and simply just resend the same answer to them. We can say we've sent them that answer and it hasn't worked. So we'll look at why that hasn't worked and why that hasn't solved the customer query. So we do try to record that data where we can.
Because that's obviously a massive frustration for customers when they have to explain the whole situation.
Yeah.
Again. So, okay. Another question. Sorry, I feel as if you there's so many questions coming in. Clipping the mark today. Are you seeing an increase in customers interacting via multi-channels simultaneously, so line web chat and then calling into the contact centre? And if this is the case, is it driving a new requirement for agents to be able to deal with customers across channels?
Well, like I said, web chat is still a work in progress for us. It's not rolled out yet, so that's something we will have to look out for. But often we find that customers send another, and if we're struggling with our email volumes and our email queues, if we're not getting back to the customer within a timely manner, they will call as well. So then just create another interaction. And obviously, if they're still not satisfied, then customers can vent to social media. And that's, you need to be careful of customers doing that, because the consequences are far-reaching. Many people see people's problems on social media, and what we find is then if customers are moaning or complaining generally and openly on social media, then we try to contact them back on social media, but privately, obviously, to see if we can help with their problem.
Obviously, a direct cost as well to the businesses, dealing with the same inquiry across multiple channels. So, okay, a question now about metrics. So people are interested in understanding the metrics and volumes of transactions you handle. I know you touched on some of that at the beginning, so number of calls and emails, number of questions asked by the customer via the knowledge-based support.
Yeah, so Paul, is the question really about what sort of metrics are there?
It's about knowing the volumes of the transactions that are handled. So I know we touched on that a wee bit at the beginning, but if you perhaps recap on number of calls, number of emails, and then the number of questions asked by the customer through the knowledge-based system. Yeah.
Well, the one can certainly answer out of that. This is Mike speaking. Is you look at the analytics within the solution. There's about 8 million people going through the self-help per year on the knowledge system, and they've got the ability there clearly to look at multiple things whilst they're in there, and a certain number of them will escalate to want to contact the contact centre. As 8 million interactions, or 8 million sessions, if you like, then that escalates, I think from memory, around probably about 5 or 6%. So most people actually stay in self-serve within that environment. And I think that the other thing to notice about this is an interaction doesn't necessarily mean they would have called, of course. Quite often people just interact because they prefer to interact to build their knowledge. It's not as if they would have called without it. So basically, having a solution like this just informs your customers better, as well as cutting out contacts coming through to you.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot of times people, when they understand that they can do and have that capability, then they'll use it. It's a bit like they do it because they can, which is really useful. Okay.
Yeah.
A few more questions. Let me just read through. So what customer satisfaction metrics do you use, and have the scores increased after the implementation of a knowledge solution?
Yeah, various methods we use. It has a increase. It's difficult, isn't it? People are very, very quick to complain and moan when things aren't going wrong. But as we all know, it's not working in reverse, does it? When things go well, customers have got great customer experience. They're just happy that you go away. They've got their answer. I mean, some people do of course give good feedback, but I mean, like all contact centres, we do take CSAT surveys. But like I mentioned earlier, with the reduction in contacts, etc., we've implemented so much change over the last year. It's difficult at the moment. I don't think we've really done the analysis to get to an answer on that specific question. We have had one or two, more than one of it, like verbatim comments that come through around thanks for I was able to knowledge very quickly. It's helped me. But in terms of putting that into context of the wider CSAT, I don't have the stats to hand to be able to answer that.
Now, I have had a question from about what software is powering your knowledge base. So, Mark, you probably want to pick that one up.
Well, the software that powers the knowledge base is the software that's developed by Transversal. So it's a customized solution, effectively based on a consistent platform. So Marks and Spencers or clients, it's the same underlying knowledge platform, albeit the way we implement it for organisation is down to the requirements of that organisation and the way we piece the user interfaces together. For contact centres, for example, will depend quite often on what the agent's doing on a day-to-day basis and the other applications they might have access to within the contact centre. So various forms of integration might take place. Question earlier about linking into systems. Of course, the important thing about this is that regardless of our knowledge platform, you'll want to be able to access that knowledge sometimes from other applications like a CRM system. And so this knowledge platform that's here within M&S has an API, and therefore anybody from the IT department, for example, could that and effectively feed knowledge out of it or suck knowledge out of it and present it in another application, such as a CRM solution. So you don't actually have to be in the knowledge base. You can be in another app, and you can do mobile apps, and those mobile apps could take that knowledge out of the central knowledge base dynamically. So that itself is a transversal platform, but that's a proprietary transfer platform. It doesn't stop anybody from the IT department in accessing that knowledge in other apps.
One of the key elements as well for us on that is the transversal solution we have is a SaaS, it's a software as a service, which really enabled us to kind of speed up our deployment and not get bogged down with the need for regular code releases or so. It's all kind of handled by Transversal, so it's definitely a big gain for us.
Okay. I'm very conscious that we're just slightly running over, so I'm going to take there's just one last question. I think I've pretty much covered most of the questions, but if there's anything that I haven't covered, then if you can please come back to me, then we can take it offline. So just a question about staff, how they reacted or dealt with the implementation of the system. Was it visible, or were there some challenges at the beginning with it?
The adoption by staff has been very good. The implementation of this, given the amount of other change that we were all forcing on our agents at one time, is they've coped with a lot of change over the last year, but the change to move to the transversal knowledge base has definitely been one of the high points of them. It's been so simple, not really required much training, as opposed to some of the other items that we've rolled out for them over the last little year have been quite heavyweight and tough for them to pick up, but the Transversal one has been well suited.
Yeah, okay. Now, a massive thanks to both Ian and Mark and Transversal for supporting this session this morning. Clearly lots and lots of interest with the number of questions that we've had, so a huge thank you, and hope you found it really of lots of use. If you have any particular questions or anything else you need, Mark and Ian's details were on the screen there, and mine are now up on screen as well. So please do get in touch if there's anything else that we haven't answered on the session this morning or that comes to mind afterwards. The recording will be made available to everybody, so you can get access to that afterwards. We'll send out a link for that. So I guess without any further ado, I'll bring the session to a close, and thank you all for your time this morning, and a huge thanks again to Ian and Mark for taking the time out to run through this morning. Thank you much, and have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.